Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Just kidding. We're here to, totally freak you out. Welcome to Top 10 Unfiltered, where we uncover the darkest, most shocking, and mind-blowing true stories. Today, we're counting down the top 10 human experiments that went terribly wrong. We're talking seriously messed up stuff. From scientific nightmares to cruel psychological tests, these experiments show just how far humans have gone in the name of science. Make sure you watch until number 1. It's absolutely disturbing. Seriously, you guys, this one's gonna keep you up at night. Picture this. It's 1971, Stanford University. College students sign up for a psychology experiment thinking it's easy money, just hanging out in a fake prison for 2 weeks. Some are guards, others prisoners. Things got dark, really fast. The guards turned into total psychopaths, abusing the prisoners. The experiment was shut down after just 6 days due to mental breakdowns. It proved that even normal people can become monsters when given power. The Monster Study, 1939. Alright guys, this next one is truly messed up. It's called the Monster Study, and yeah, the name fits. In 1939, researchers wanted to see if they could create a stutter in a child. They went to an orphanage, rounded up a bunch of orphans, and started verbally abusing them. These poor kids, who had perfectly normal speech before, developed stutters. They lived with these speech impediments and the emotional scars from this horrible experiment. It's just heartbreaking and infuriating at the same time. The MK Ultra mind control experiments, 1950s to 70s. Imagine the CIA secretly dosing people with LSD. Sounds like a conspiracy theory, right? Well, it actually happened. From the 1950s to the 70s, the CIA ran this top-secret program called MKUltra. They started slipping LSD to unsuspecting citizens to see how it affected their minds, hoping to use it as a truth serum or to create super spies. People had psychotic breakdowns, some never recovered, and the CIA tried to cover the whole thing up. It's like something out of a horror movie, but it's real. This one is super creepy and might just be an urban legend, but still, it'll freak you out. The story goes that in the 1940s, Russian scientists wanted to see what would happen if you stayed awake for a really long time. They got 5 prisoners and locked them in a chamber with experimental gas to keep them awake. These guys started going insane, hallucinating, tearing at their own skin, begging for death. After 15 days of no sleep, they were basically turned into mindless, aggressive zombies. No one knows for sure if this experiment actually happened, but it makes you think, right? Unit 731 to 1930s, 1940s. This next one is seriously disturbing, you guys. Unit 731 was a covert biological and chemical warfare research unit during World War II. The Japanese military conducted horrific experiments on prisoners of war and innocent civilians. They infected people with diseases, performed vivisections without anesthesia, and tested weapons on live subjects. After the war, many involved were granted immunity in exchange for their research data. It's a dark chapter in human history, and a reminder of the horrors that can happen when unchecked power and cruelty go hand in hand. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study, 1932 to 1972. This one is just plain wrong on so many levels. The Tuskegee Syphilis Study lasted for 40 years, from 1932 to 1972. The U.S. Public Health Service conducted this study on African American men in rural Alabama, telling them they were getting free health care for bad blood, but they weren't treating them at all, even after penicillin became available as a cure for syphilis. These men were lied to, denied proper medical care, and left to suffer the devastating effects of syphilis. It wasn't until 1972, when a whistleblower came forward, that the study was exposed and shut down. The Milgram Experiment, 1961. Get ready for this one because it will mess with your head. The Milgram Experiment, conducted in 1961 by Stanley Milgram, aimed to understand obedience to authority. Participants were told they were part of a learning and memory study, and instructed to deliver electric shocks to another person, who was actually an actor. The shocks weren't real, but the participants believed they were causing real harm. Most continued to deliver the shocks because the experimenter told them to. The Milgram experiment showed us that people are willing to do terrible things when they believe an authority figure is responsible for the consequences. The Little Albert Experiment, 1920. This next one is just plain cruel. The little Albert experiment involved a 9-month-old baby. In 1920, psychologists John Watson and Rosalie Rayner wanted to see if they could condition a fear response in a child. They exposed baby Albert to various stimuli like a white rat, and then paired the sight of the rat with a loud, clanging noise. Albert became terrified of the rat, and eventually, his fear generalized to anything white and fluffy. They basically traumatized a baby for science, and it's just one of those experiments that would never fly today. The Aversion Project, 1970s to 80s. This next one is just pure evil. The Aversion Project happened in South Africa during the apartheid era, from the 1970s to the 1980s. Gay and lesbian soldiers were subjected to chemical castration, electric shock therapy, and even forced sex change operations. They were drugged, tortured, and humiliated, all under the guise of science. The doctors who participated in this project were respected members of the medical community. The Aversion Project is a chilling reminder of the dangers of prejudice and the abuse of power. The Willowbrook Study, 1956 to 1970. This last one is going to make you sick to your stomach. The Willowbrook Study took place at the Willowbrook State School, a New York institution for children with intellectual disabilities. From 1956 to 1970, researchers intentionally infected healthy children with hepatitis. They didn't get informed consent from the children's parents, coercing them by saying that the only way to get their kids admitted was to participate in the study. The children at Willowbrook were already living in deplorable conditions, and this experiment just added to their suffering. The Willowbrook Study is a horrifying example of medical abuse and exploitation. Oh my God, you guys, I am shook. Some of those experiments were just beyond messed up. It's terrifying to think that people were actually capable of doing those things to other human beings. It makes you wonder what other dark secrets are hidden out there. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any more creepy content. And until next time, stay spooky.